Welcome to a candidate forum featuring candidates for Sacramento County Assessor. I'm Paula Lee, a member and a volunteer with the League of Women Voters and moderator for today's forum. The forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters and the Sacramento Metropolitan Television Commission. Today it's being taped and it will be rebroadcast on Channel 14 every Sunday until Election Day. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization of women and men. Our mission is to encourage the citizens to be active in participating in government. We do this in two distinct and separate ways. We do it through education and advocacy. The candidate forum today is our education. The League does not support or oppose or evaluate political candidates or parties. We do, however, after very careful study, take positions on ballot measures and public policy issues and legislation, and that would be with our advocacy arm. The format for today's forum will be as follows. Each candidate will make a 1-minute opening statement, and then the candidates will have 1 minute to respond to questions. This requires very succinct answers. You're only going to have 1 minute. The timer is here in the front row. Keep your eye on her. She has a 30-second warning and a stop sign. Finally, the candidates will have 1.5 minutes to make a closing statement. That's your time to add anything that you think you want to, that you may have missed. And of course, the League promotes civil discourse, and so we trust you agree with that, and you'll stick to the issues. Now, the candidates running for County Assessor are Christina Wynn and Kate Van Buren. Welcome, both of you, and thanks for participating. And we'll begin with opening statements with Kate Van Buren.
Thank you for leading this today, League of Women Voters of Sacramento County and Metro Cable. I am Kate Van Buren. I am running for Sacramento County Assessor, and I am running to bring positive change to the Sacramento County's Assessor's Office. I have a vision that will bring us into the 21st century by encouraging innovation, using the wealth of talent that we have incubating here in Sacramento in our tech startups to increase efficiency, to foster a culture of inclusion, openness, and ethics. We must improve efficiency levels by solving employee complaints at a low level so that they are not escalated into multiple investigations, costing taxpayers thousands of dollars and wasting our precious resources. I will ensure that the Assessor's Office follows the California tax law equitably. I will impanel an advisory ethics board to review every employee's transaction that could be interpreted as enriching themselves. Thank you.
Christina Wynn.
Good afternoon. I am Sacramento County Assessor Christina Wynn. As required by law, I am certified by the Board of Equalization to perform the functions of assessor. I am also licensed as a certified general appraiser by the California Bureau of Real Estate Appraisers. I have over 24 years of leadership and technical assessor's office experience working for both Sacramento and Placer counties. And I have over 27 years of experience appraising property throughout Northern and Central California, including 4 years of private sector experience working for the CBRE Group as a commercial appraiser. I was unanimously appointed to the position of assessor by the Board of Supervisors last June. I served as assistant assessor prior to my appointment. Over my career, I have worked, supervised, or managed all aspects of assessor operations. I have dedicated my career to public service through property tax administration, and I am committed to continuing the legacy of service to the taxpayers of Sacramento County. Thank you.
Okay, we begin our first question. We'll start with you, Kate Van Buren. How effectively does the county communicate its appraisal process to property owners, especially during severe market fluctuations?
Well, we sincerely need to reform the way that assessments are being done. There seem to be no checks and balances regarding appraisers who might manually change appraisals in the system. We need to update our small business assessments by using technology, and we need to have a more robust website and communication for our taxpayers.
Christina Wynn?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure. How effectively does the county communicate its appraisal process to property owners, especially during severe market fluctuations?
I would say that we probably are about a B+ in this area. We rely heavily on our website to convey the information regarding our processes, including decline in market value assessments. This requires taxpayers to seek us out for the information, whereas I think nowadays we probably should be doing a little more outreach to the taxpayers through social media and other aspects like that. We occasionally will do a press release to provide the information, but primarily we rely on our website and our customer service staff. So I definitely think that we could improve in that area.
Okay, next question. We'll begin with you, Christina. How can you make sure that property tax assessments are not unfair, resulting in higher property tax bills for lower income owners and homeowners and small businesses?
Well, there are a lot of regulations behind how property is assessed. All of these regulations are laid out in the Revenue and Taxation Code, board manuals that provide guidance on how we're supposed to be appraising properties. There are quite a few rules that limit the assessments. For instance, under Prop 13, the sale price is presumed to be the value of the property unless there's evidence otherwise. And what this means is if the assessor overrides that sale price, the burden is on the assessor to prove the reasons why. So taxpayers are protected going in because they know what they paid for property and they can calculate what their tax bill will be. That provision of Prop 13 would protect someone from future increases, but if there was, let's say, a decline in value and the property was reassessed for that reason, future tax bills could be negatively affected. Time's up, sorry.
Kate Van Buren?
Well, I am running to protect property owners and small business from corrupt practices. And I have dedicated the last 15 years of my life to volunteering in this community. I want to see Sacramento County be a success, and we are not being successful when those of our most underserved are being overtaxed and left homeless. So I know what it takes to lead by example. I live a life of integrity, and I think that putting firm policies and procedures into place is essential. Ethics matters, and when we are leading an office and there are problems going on that are not being addressed, that can filter down to the rank and file. So to make sure that everyone in Sacramento is equitably served, I hereby vow that we will have a very robust ethics panel.
Okay, next question for Kate Van Buren. Kind of along the same lines, renters are a fairly large portion of the electorate in Sacramento County, and they're affected by the property tax system. The person who owns the building has to pay property taxes, and they pass it on to the renters. Renters do not get ownership exemptions. Do you have any sense of how big corporate landlords or other owners of large property holdings fit into this system or are potentially benefiting from unfair assessments?
Well, it seems that there are some unsavory landlords who are taking advantage of the hot housing market. They are raising rates unjustifiably and leaving those who are working families out in the cold. So I would like to welcome in sustainable developers, people who care about affordable housing, maintaining affordable housing, to come and take a look at Sacramento, see what we can do. We can develop sustainable development by parks and schools. We do need more housing. I don't like people being gouged. That's not what Sacramento County should be doing.
Christina Nguyen?
I think it might be a little hard to tie in the relationship between a property tax obligation and rent. When people own property, their property taxes are based on the acquisition or the value as of the date of construction. And that doesn't necessarily mean that translates to a rent they're going to charge. Now, in some cases, in commercial property, the property taxes are passed on to the tenants. So those tenants are directly affected by high property taxes. They're paying the bill, the landlord is not. When it comes to housing, there's a bundle of expenses that goes into a consideration of how much rent a landlord may charge, and they have to be able to cover those expenses or else they wouldn't even be able to offer the housing at all. So if we have higher expenses, potentially might have less affordable housing or less housing at all.
Okay, Christina Nguyen. Do you plan to promote, or if elected, plan to promote any changes to existing assessments? And if so, why?
Well, I'm not really sure that the law would allow me to do that. It's highly regulated as to when I can change an existing assessment. For instance, if there's a market downturn, then assessments could be adjusted accordingly, but there's no provision in the law that would allow the assessor to promote changes to assessments. That would be unethical.
Kate Van Buren?
Well, I would like to see more veterans and the disabled know about their right to have the exemption in their assessments for their property. I think there should be more education to the public regarding these things that are protected under California tax law. There are very vulnerable populations who are on the streets right now because they do not realize that there are 4 exemptions to assessments, and one being for disabled veterans. I would just make a larger effort to communicate this with nonprofits and the people doing public good so that they know what they can do under the law to make it affordable to help people in our community.
Okay, you get the first question this time. There's been a lot of talk over the years about reforming Prop 13. And even talk of a ballot initiative to come that would reform Prop 13. So the question is, what reforms to Prop 13 would you support, and any other ideas other than this ballot proposition that you have for reforming Prop 13?
Well, I do support Proposition 13 protections for homeowners and seniors. I do believe that corporations got a very sweet deal out of Prop 13, and though I'm hesitant to insist on a split roll for corporations, I do want to encourage corporations and small businesses to come to Sacramento County and know that they won't be overtaxed, although large corporations should be paying their fair share.
Christina Nguyen?
As an elected official sworn to uphold the California Constitution, my opinion has less significance because I must administer the law as written. but I have a few observations to share. Without Prop 13, many taxpayers would no longer be able to afford to own their properties, particularly the elderly and anyone on a fixed income. They would be pushed out of their homes. For everyone else, without the protection of Prop 13, property taxes would likely double. This scenario would likely lead to housing instability and negatively impacting real estate markets. And here are some interesting statistics to consider. Since 1980, California's population increased 67%. Since 1980, inflation has increased almost 200%. Since 1980, property tax revenues have increased 735%. Considering these statistics, revenue from property tax under Prop 13 may not be the issue. Spending may be the issue.
Okay, Christina, what do you see as the most pressing needs for infrastructure or capital projects in the county?
Oh, I think one thing that is needed is construction to our roadways. We have roadways that are filled with potholes and large gaps, bumps in your tires are, practically damaged when you drive on these roads. So I definitely think that we could spend some money in the county on fixing our roadway infrastructure.
Kate Van Buren?
I would say public transportation is one of the most important issues to combat climate change, the congested roadways, and access to our schools, hospitals, government buildings, and homes. It will keep a lot more people off the roads.
And we have time for one more question. So I'm going to combine two. What is your experience, I think you can be brief with this, preparing and authorizing budgets? And what do you think about county property taxes? Are they too high, too low, or just about right?
Well, I have experience in overseeing and making comments on the local control funding formula for our Sacramento County Unified School District. I was appointed for 2 terms. And also, as far as the county taxes go, I think they are just about right. I think they're in line with what's going on in other parts of California, and they're dependable. And my opinion is that this Sacramento County is a great place to live, work, retire, play, raise a family, and I want to make it better.
Christina Wynn?
Last year, my office produced a record tax roll totaling over $157 billion of assessed value on time and under budget. Our budget is an $18 million budget, where just over half is funded by the general fund. I do believe that the property taxes that are being collected in the county are sufficient, and they are administered in accordance with the law. That's it. That's my answer.
Thank you. Okay, now it's time for closing statements, and we'll reverse the order, so we'll begin with Christina Wynn.
In closing, I am the most qualified candidate with extensive experience and credentials, a proven track record of success, and a long-term history of serving the taxpayers. I look forward to proudly serving the citizens of Sacramento County as their assessor for the next 4 years.
Kate Van Buren?
I thank you, all of you, for watching this and being here, and I wanted you to know that I live a life of integrity. I have a vision of a world where people are rising to be their best selves, where employees are respected and leaders communicate with genuine kindness and compassion, and they create an environment that is harmonious and productive. Sacramento County deserves this. It is time to leave corrupt old school practices behind and usher in a fresh, transparent, ethical way of doing business and treating each other. I respectfully ask for your support.
So that concludes the forum, and on behalf of the League of Women Voters and Sacramento Metro Cable Television, thank you so much for participating, and thanks to all the volunteers that made the forum possible. Now I have some very important announcements for voters that are watching. The League of Women Voters has a terrific one-stop resource for voter information on candidates and on ballot measures. The website you want to go to is votersedge.org/CA. There you can learn about the candidates. You can see your own customized ballot by putting in your address. Then you can click on a candidate's name and learn more about that candidate, what their priorities are, who's endorsed them, and who has donated to their campaign, and how much has been donated. You can get all of the information about all the new changes in the voting system here in Sacramento on that website as well. Now, about those changes in voting for Sacramento, we want to go over that because voters are no longer limited to one Tuesday and one location for casting their ballot. Every registered voter in Sacramento was mailed a ballot this week. And if you are a regular absentee voter, that's no surprise. You know what this envelope looks like when it comes in the mail. This is it, and here's the pink envelope. But if you have never voted by mail, you might be surprised when this comes in the mail this week. So we want you to know what to do with it. You can mark your ballot and then put it in this pink envelope. And the most important thing is sign it. It can't be counted unless it's signed. That's how they check to make sure that you have only voted once, and that's the security that the Elections Department maintains. So be sure and sign it, make sure it's counted. And then you turn it over, and you can mail it with 2 stamps. If you don't want to mail it with 2 stamps, you can forget the stamps and just go to a local drop box. And the drop boxes will be located throughout the county. All county public libraries will be drop boxes, and they will open, the drop boxes are open now. The third way that you can vote, if you'd like to vote in person, is you can vote at a full-service vote center. Those will be located conveniently throughout the county, and they will open beginning May 26th. Imagine, the vote centers that are open those 11 days will give you 2 weekends to vote, including Memorial Weekend. So no excuses. At the vote center, you can get language help. You can get any kind of assistance you need. You can register to vote. You can re-register to vote. If you're not sure about how you registered and what your signature is for that ballot, re-register. Parents, you might want to take your 16 or 17-year-old to that vote center so they can pre-register to vote, and they'll get a ballot when they turn 18. If you've lost your ballot, you can go to the vote center and get a new one. These vote centers don't have to be in your neighborhood. You can vote at any one of them, anywhere in the county. So with more opportunities to cast your ballot, we hope you will use your voice and vote and make democracy work. Thanks. I'm glad that's over, huh? Yeah. Oh. That's why.
Just brutal.
That's why I really